In previous videos, we've looked at a single claim. It had two distinct damage outcomes based on two expert assessments. Yet, awards often fall anywhere within a range, say from 0 to about 100,000, with some value in between being more likely than others. Working directly with such ranges of outcome, called continuous distributions, makes models a bit more complex. Many people find them harder to grasp as they are more abstract. They also require relying on a random sampling method, often referred to as Monte Carlo. A simpler yet very effective approach used by experts is by relying on a 3-point estimate. We will here show a way to assess a range of damages when values somewhere in the middle of the potential range are much more likely than values in the extremes of the range. As an example, the damage in our breach of contract case could be 100,000, but getting a full win feels quite unlikely. Getting 0 is also possible, but also appears very unlikely. But some value in between, we're not exactly sure which, feels more probable. To make it easy here, let's assume that we are certain to win on liability, 100%, and that all we need to assess is the size of the damage award. Now this is how we would do it with a 3-point estimate. We begin by estimating a figure that we think is the midpoint of probable outcomes, where an award is just as likely to end up higher as it is to end up lower. Let's say that we decide that this is 60,000. In our simplified model here, we treat this midpoint as one outcome and we give it a 50% probability. Next, we find a high point this way. We choose a number where we believe there's only a 10% chance the actual award could be higher. In our case, we estimate this value to 90,000. In other words, we believe that the actual award could be more than 90,000, but there's only a 10% chance for that to occur. We assign this outcome a 25% probability. Note that the 10% mark is used to find the value, here 90,000, and we then assign this outcome a 25% chance to occur. Finally, we set the low point using the same method. We estimate that there's a 10% chance of an award that is less than 35,000. This low point gets assigned the remaining 25% probability. This results in an expected value of 61,250. Now this simple approximation captures the range of damages, but with outcomes concentrated around the 60K mark and the higher damage range. Using this 3-point estimate, or 25-50-25 rule, is a simple way to describe a range of values, yet experts agree it provides good accuracy for most uses. If we want to make sure the maximum, the 100,000, is still visible in the analysis, we can add it explicitly, but give it a low or even 0% probability. This won't change the expected value much, but it will help show the extremes more clearly in the results, in graphs, etc. It's best to spend some time when estimating these points. Research shows that we often make our ranges too narrow, so we need to think carefully about why an outcome actually might end up higher than we expect, and why it might end up lower. But how do we know the model we've created is right for us? Well, the main rule is that when building a model is that we need to think about how the court, jury, or tribunal will actually reason when making their decision. Will they really sit down and look at every possible number from 0 to 100,000? Or maybe will they anchor to certain numbers? The 25-50-25 rule is good at capturing a range that is centered around a value that is not too close to the maximum or the minimum. The 3-point estimate may not be the best when very high or very low outcomes are very plausible. It's also not ideal when there are several different peaks in the middle that the court may anchor onto. Again, the key is to ask, how will a court, jury, or tribunal reason? Perhaps like this. Well, the claimant has proved breach of contract, we have assumed this, and their damages argument is solid. We have no reason to doubt anything they say, so we award the full 100,000. Or maybe they're thinking, well, the claimant did prove breach of contract. The claim seems a bit overstated, and the damages evidence is a bit weak. So the award should therefore be less than the full amount claim. Okay, we could model this thinking first as one distinct outcome, say a 50% chance of winning the court's full favor. And then we add a 3-point estimate that captures these potential lower damage award, perhaps set for around the 50K. Now, do we have to use this way of modeling what can happen? Absolutely not. A simple rough model that's easier to explain and applies well to our case is usually the best way to go. But what if our assessment is wrong? Testing this what if is what we're going to look at in the next video.